going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update, hit the like button. Let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, new 2.2s from Vanquish Products. The new KMC tanks are available now in the 2.2 inch size. These are available in all of the standard colors already. So if you've been looking for some VP 2.2s, available now on the website in a new style. Next, an unexpected release from Losi. This is the 1/16 scale no prep drag car. This has got a 1970 Chevelle body, and it's based on the Mini 22 platform. Beyond that, it's pretty much like you would expect a drag car to be. It is brushless, it has appropriate drag style tires to it, but it is also adjustable as far as wheelbase goes so that it'll fit other popular body options that may be available, but for slightly different wheelbases, more so like the regular on-road car body. So at least they built the platform and made it fit the look that they wanted with the scale, but know that there's a ton of aftermarket bodies already out there for a slightly different scale, and they made it be able to work with either of them. This car comes brushless with a 2S LiPo and $229. So the price is pretty decent. Not really sure if they had like an intended demographic for these, or if they're just kind of throwing something out there saying, this might be cool. And speaking of just throwing something out there, that FMS The People's Car does appear to be hitting distributors and dealers already. Talked about this a little bit last week when we saw just some very basic information, but full rollout happened just a handful of days later. This is the same basic platform as we saw in the previous one that they had that was similar to this, but this is the civilian version and it comes in an all gray style. It's not licensed, but it's only $189. Next, CEN just released their Chaos winch. This is made to fit their 1/10 scale F450s and 250s. Comes with a mounting plate that goes behind the front bumpers, and then the winch obviously mounts to that. It is hidden behind the bumper, so you don't get the benefit of seeing a scale style winch hidden behind there. Granted, on trucks like that, those winches generally are out of sight, but hidden behind massive bumpers typically. But this one, $89. You do get the mounting plate for it, and it comes with a wireless winch controller. So you don't need any special radios or anything like that. It's kind of an all-in-one package. It's not an overly strong winch. It says it's rated at 7 kilograms. So in the world of today's crazy overpowered winches, it's not exactly near the top, but it is going to be a complete package, everything you need to install it in one of those trucks. So for the ease of assembly, having everything you need all in one, not a bad little deal. If you've got an F450 or the new 250, pretty much a drop in. Says that it requires a little bit of modification to the front bumper. I want to thank Team Garage Hack for sponsoring this month of the Scale News Update. Team Garage Hack also just released their new h.o.g. C2/C3 chassis. h.o.g. generally used in the form of Hand of God in the RC crawling world. But this new chassis, it's got a 7.5 degree angled skid plate for nice maximum ground clearance. The rear of it looks very similar to their Titan chassis, which they offered for the Element platforms. The front of it incorporates the mounting for their forward motor mount in either the regular or mirrored configuration. Now it says it's available in both carbon fiber and G10. Along with the release of the chassis, they're also offering a new skid plate to go along with that. If you're not familiar with the popularity of flat rails and what some of the benefits to them may be, generally flat rails can be made out of lightweight composite materials like G10 and carbon fiber. It also allows for a lot of design flexibility as there is no tooling for these, so designs can be refined and changed and updated quickly without expensive tooling costs for things like stamped C-channel rails. So you can gain some performance by losing some weight, and on the con side, you lose a little scale appearance by ditching a C-channel chassis. But with that, thanks to Team Garage Hack for sponsoring this month of the Scale News Update. Hobby Wing had recently released that 1080 G2, an updated version of their very popular 1080 ESC. And along with those, we've seen them become available at dealers, but they also have some combos that are including those new rebuildable brushed motors that they released not long ago either. So if you want an inexpensive, solid brushed combo, this is a good choice. 1080 has always been a fantastic ESC, and their new brush motors will give you a solid motor option to go along with it. You can check those out in links in the description below. Handful of weeks back, we had talked about the release of the new Kyosho 240Z on the Phaser platform. It looks like these are becoming available in the new tuned version, the white ready set. This again, on the Phaser platform, that beautiful 240Z body, appropriate, kind of meaty sidewall tires that go along with it. This is a brushed version, and the retail price on this looks like it's going to be about $315. There's many people that do these scale bodies better than Kyosho, and this one I think is a great example of that. If you're a 240Z fanatic, you got to add this one to your cart. Last week, MIP announced on their social media that they were looking to hire specifically someone in the machining world to go along with some of their future plans and things like that. But that wasn't the only time that I saw a little headline about MIP pop up. Circus RC, which is like a RC news blog type site, who I wasn't totally familiar with, looks like they mainly focus on racing side. They had posted up that MIP was possibly going to be purchased by Horizon. Couldn't find anything else to substantiate this, and other people who work there and said that it wasn't true. When I saw the screenshot being shared around, it obviously piqued my interest. It wouldn't seem to be out of the question or character of Horizon's goals and what they've done in the past, like with the purchasing of Proline and AKA. This would seem similar and kind of in that same area, so it would really keep that same flow. But completely unsubstantiated, only a rumor. I've seen it from one source. Don't take it as news, but it's food for thought. For any of you Element Ecto owners, I recently released a 3D printable roll cage that you can put inside of that Ecto body. Along with the cage, I've also offered a dash and seat combo that you can purchase separately as well. You can get either of those file sets for $1.99. If you're an Ecto owner and you've got a 3D printer, it's a pretty easy one to knock out. Redcat just released some officially licensed Dayton wheels for their lowriders, and it comes in like a jewelry box style case. You can open it up, displays your Daytons. I believe they're available in chrome or gold with a knockoff in the center even. I mean, if you're doing the lowrider thing, you gotta have Daytons, right? A name that doesn't pop up much around here is Habau, but this week they announced that they've got a no prep car coming in February, the Hyper EX10. It's a simple silhouette photo is all we see. It does look like it's a mid-motor car, factory wheelie bar on it, the whole deal. I believe that Habau is much more known in the racing world because in the scale world, I think they've had one release ever. The post that they made did seem to be received well, a lot of interaction, a lot of shares on it. So it appears that people are excited to see what they may have coming. 1/10 scale drag stock, we saw a ton of it, especially in 2020. 2021, there was still a lot of it that we covered in the news. But as things have gone, it's slowed down significantly as far as the releases that we see that kind of pop into the channels where I would normally cover them. I know that there's a lot of the boutique stuff and the hyper-focused racing, crowd and the companies that are smaller that really do a lot of that. But from my side of it, I don't see as much of it anymore, which kind of just makes me wonder what the status of that market is. A lot of the friends that I had who were doing that super intense seem to be backing off as well. I don't hear about as many events happening locally. Has no prep already started to come down the other side of that hill, or are they just at that peak that they're still just kind of pushing, but we're not seeing as much exciting new product being released because of how fast those cars are going? I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear if any of you guys are still no prep racing or what the scenes look like around wherever you are. Proline threw a teaser out there yesterday where you can clearly see some new Proline shocks for the SCX24 that are clearly a much larger diameter than the SCX24 shocks that come on those vehicles. And along with that, you can see the fuzzy representation of a Baja Pro X for that 1.0 size as well. So more options for the 24 scale. That's a market that is definitely still growing and growing quite fast. Big bore shocks in this one look much closer like the size of the TRX4M shocks. So I imagine these are going to be very similar, oil filled and things like that. At least that's my guess. And speaking of Proline, they announced the theme of this year's upcoming Proline by the Fire, and it is survival. I kind of dig it. I can see some like really wild interpretations of what people are going for this time. Medieval, I feel like we could all picture what some of those themes were going to be like, but survival, that's a different world. You could really interpret that in a ton of different ways. So exciting to see. Definitely looking forward to that event. This Wednesday, Livestream Takeover with Matt from Scale Builders Guild and myself is the conclusion of the auction. Last Wednesday, we started 6 eBay auctions each, and they were made for 7 days. So they're going to end during this week's live show. And things got out of hand, like really out of hand. And it'll be interesting to see how all of those auctions end this week. I'll put a link below to a page where you can see a link to each of the items that Matt and I listed, and you can see their current status. You can also watch last week's episode and see everything go down, because it was interesting. And then of course on Friday Night Live, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Same for the Wednesday show. Come join us, hang out, talk about some RC stuff. Last week was a rough week, and I asked you to just tag a friend in the comments, somebody you've met in RC or enjoyed having alongside in RC. For this week, let's just keep it light. It's been a better week than the 2 previous. So go down in the comments and you type a question out, and then go find somebody else's question and reply to that with your own answer. It'll be a huge list of question and answers, and I'm gonna go read through them and see what you guys come up with. Maybe I'll use one in the following week, because sometimes coming up with questions is hard to do. But with that, thanks for watching the Scale News Update. If you enjoy these shows, hit the like button now. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see them every week when they get uploaded. Don't miss a week. Dedication. Seriously though, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.